Lee Merritt has made a name for himself over the years representing families and victims of police brutality. George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery are among the highest profile recently. But Merritt wants to get into politics now, running to become the next Texas Attorney General. Mr. Merritt, thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with something your opponents have made a big deal about. They say you are licensed in federal court, which records obviously show, but you're not licensed in state court. Why not?
I'm a federal civil rights attorney. I make no apologies for it. I came to Texas in particular to ensure that Texas enjoy all the citizen rights as all other Americans. It's funny, in this particular race, a lot of the Republicans have pushed back to brag about how they've sued the federal bar to deny Texans those protections. And I've been proud to stand up for Texans over the years to ensure their federal rights. And I don't do motor vehicle accident cases, divorce cases, criminal cases, just not the kind of law that I've practiced over the years.
The Attorney General in Texas doesn't have to be an attorney, but do you plan on passing the Texas bar, or at least taking the Texas bar?
Well, I benefit from what's called reciprocity, and so when I decided to run for the Texas Attorney General position, I started the process of applying for reciprocity, which means Texas will allow me to waive in after I complete a kind of thorough application. So we're going to do that, but you're right. The Texas Attorney General's office, to be clear, is that office is an executive position. So I run a firm that will include Texas attorneys. I run a firm that will include federal law, cases focused on federal law, and I'll be deciding what policy and what tax that we take. I don't plan to be actively litigating cases as the next Attorney General.
You also are licensed to practice in the state of Pennsylvania, so that would be the reciprocity you're talking about.
Yep, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and
which is one state recognizing you, and the other states usually do as well too. You've obviously made a name for yourself representing victims and their families from police brutality. Do you plan to use this position to advance that cause at all? And if so, what might that look like?
Well, absolutely. I think we saw in the cases of George Floyd how an attorney general can come in and support the work of local counties. In that case, once George Floyd was killed, the attorney general, Keith Ellison, came in and gave his support to Hennepin County. I've seen that all over, most recently in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, where the attorney general came in and said where Ahmaud and his family had been denied justice by a prosecutor who refused to do the right thing to uphold her duty of office, he brought charges against that derelict prosecutor. I think our Attorney General in Texas should be playing some of the same roles, standing up for families where additional resources are needed, identifying prosecutors who are failing to uphold their duty of office, and continuing to fight for families in that way.
Democrats obviously struggle in rural areas all across the state. What's your message to Texans who don't live in a big city, who might not know you, who wonder if you can represent them as well?
I think the Attorney General's office, number one, impacts almost every aspect of Texas life, but particularly for rural Texans, ensuring that our schools are not only properly funded and protected, but that local control is protected. Right now, the Attorney General office has proven hostile to rural communities when they want to make their own decisions concerning mask mandates, when they want to allow the curriculum to take the course that the state board advises. As a former educator, as someone who has worked with rural communities to protect our schools, the AG's office can be seen as a source for that.
Mr. Merritt, thank you for the time. Good luck.
Thank you for having me.